Welcome back once again to your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. We're talking about careers in the insurance and financial services industry, and this is the You Should Get a License podcast. I am excited because we have one of my favorite entrepreneurs in the building or on the Zoom, to have a conversation this evening. This brother is an entrepreneur. He is a leader. He is an expert in his field. He is a philanthropist. He's a speaker. He's a coach. And he's also a member of the greatest fraternity of all time, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And I'm so excited to have him. Veteran in the business, Southeast Regional Field Trainer with Legal Shield, Mr. Alistair Edwards. How you doing, good brother?
Man, always good to be in a conversation with you, my brother.
Hey, look,
your success.
You got so many credentials and so many things I can say about you. I'm trying to condense, the introduction, man. But you do a lot of phenomenal things, not only in business but also in the community. You're a family man. So thank you for taking some time and coming on the platform. I know it's a busy season for you as well, so we appreciate you and glad to have you here.
Honored to be here.
Yeah. So I want to just kind of start the conversation with, what you do, because this conversation is a little bit different than what we traditionally think about when we're talking about insurance. And I think that that's important. So I would love to, just kind of get your summarization on your segment of the business, kind of where you specialize and what you do on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Truly an honor when I was asked to be a part of it. Knowing what you've done and the masterful book that you've written that have helped so many people in the industry, I was definitely honored when you asked me. I currently am the Southeast Regional Field Trainer for Legal Shield. So I cover North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, where I pretty much train and motivate those that train and motivate the masses. All right. Yeah. So I have about 48 of the top producers in that region that I guide. And those 48, including myself, go out and teach brand new people and work with them in the field on how to take our product and service to market. What we do at Legal Shield, company's been around 50, this going into our 51st year, so over 51 years. We provide a legal and identity theft protection benefit. So just like you have health insurance, we provide legal insurance. So I've been in the voluntary space, the voluntary benefit space now for about 20 years with this main product and service. And so we do a full legal coverage, which includes preparation of the member's will, living will, medical, financial, power of attorney, right? We do it for the member and the member's spouse, cover the entire family, unlimited legal consultation, contract and document review, representation for any moving violation, IRS audit protection. So just any legal situation that you have, you now have access to a top rank attorney to guide you through that for a small monthly fee. Mm-hmm.
Man, listen, you know what? I think that, with Legal Shield and legal insurance, because that's really what it is, because we're talking about risk transfer here, right? I think that there's a great opportunity to expand the awareness of how powerful this is and how important it is, for people to actually have in place. Just like you're taking care of, your health and you go to the doctor, you don't want to pay that entire doctor's bill.
Yeah.
It's much more reasonable to be able to do a copay, or even if you have a surgery or procedure, do that co-insurance and taking on that whole expense. And that's kind of how I see, Legal Shield and having that type of protection, that legal protection in the same way. Is that how you would describe it? Is that how you would summarize it?
I would summarize it exactly like that. What I always say to people is collective buying power, right? People make movies that cost them, millions of dollars, but we can watch that same movie for a $24 Netflix subscription, right? And we have access to all the movies that have cost millions of dollars. But the reason we have access to that is the collective buying power. There are so many people paying that small monthly fee that the movie industry recoups that. It's the same thing in the insurance industry. It's the same thing in the health industry. You have a young lady who needs to deliver a baby. And how do you go to a doctor and you have an anesthesiologist, you have a doctor, you have the nurses, you have a whole medical team, but you paid a simple copay to have that procedure done? Well, it's because there are so many people paying into that medical pool monthly, right? Even a person like me who is not having a baby, can't have a baby, but my small donation multiplied with everybody else's that is a part of this, the network pays for that procedure.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Legal Shield. We pay every provider attorney. We have a set provider attorney in every state, right? And attorneys get a third of every payment on the 15th of every month. So in Georgia, we have about 60,000 families that pay anywhere between $14, depending on what plan they have, all the way up to $199 if they have a business plan per month, right? But the law firm's getting a third of every payment on the 15th of every month. So when you call in, they don't think of you as the $29 customer, right? I'm paying $29 a month for a family plan, but my entire family's covered because 60,000 other people are paying into our premium.
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how you get a top-ranked law firm to say, okay, we're willing to provide these legal services. We're willing to answer questions. We're willing to write letters, because not all 60,000 of them are calling us on Monday morning. But when one of them needs the services, we're willing to provide that service because we know 60,000 people are paying us consistently.
That's right. It's like when large corporations, they contract, lawyers, they have lawyers on retainer so that if anybody from that company is calling, they know they want to retain that account. They want to retain that business, right?
Most definitely.
Legal Shield is leveraging that for, all of middle America.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
No, it's phenomenal. I really, I believe in the plan. I have the plan, so and have used it. So I think it's something that, just is important for people to not only have, but to understand, the value in as well. And when you talk about, what it costs to actually have it, and I know that this conversation is not going to be a Legal Shield conversation, but just the cost that you would have, which is really the same reason that you would have any other insurance. Hey, you pay a small price so that you can have a big benefit. It's an alien.
I mean, I blew an engine on a car, one of my cars, and the dealer wanted to charge me $4,000 for the used engine, $8,000 for a brand new one, plus labor and parts. I called my Legal Shield attorney to just get a second opinion. He said, well, let me do some research. He found out there was a recall on that model and wrote a letter to the corporate office. The dealer calls me 7 days later and said, Mr. Edwards, got some good news. Our corporate office just called. They're shipping us a brand new engine for your car. It takes us about 3 days to get it installed.
Oh.
But once it's completed, you can pick the car up and our corporate office picking up the tab. Now, that was one letter from my law firm that saved me 10 grand. Right? I wouldn't have thought about that. I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave the car? Is it time to get a new car? Is it, you know what I mean? That's what the average American is dealing with everyday legal situations. Yeah. Right? You hear your house is being foreclosed. You hear that your child got a super speeder ticket. You're thinking, what are my options here? The best option is to call an attorney that knows what your best option is.
Exactly.
So, and that's the great thing about having a benefit. And when you look at it for less than $1 a day, it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So let me change gears for a minute, and I want to go back. Pre-Legal Shield and even look. I know your life and health license as well, so I want to talk about kind of how you're blending that, and the power of how you leverage having the license even with your existing business and how you synergize the two, because I think that's important to speak to. But I want to take a minute and go all the way back, because you were born in London, right?
Yes.
Born in London, Jamaican heritage. Tell me about 9-10-year-old Alistair. What were you dreaming about doing at that time?
What was I dreaming about at 10? Having fun.
What do you want to be? What do you say? Hey, what do I want to be when I grow? What were you dreaming?
Well, here's the crazy part. I wanted to be an attorney. Right. So so my major is, when I graduated from Florida A&M, I had a dual degree in business economics and political science. Right. But when I was in Jamaica, I grew up in Jamaica to Jamaican parents. And my mom was an entrepreneur. She had her own shop, right? A tourist. We sold arts and craft, jewelry, native clothing that tourists would come in and buy. And so I've been behind the counter selling from a very early age. You know what I mean? Learning to sell, learning customer service, and all of that. But I always liked the field of law. Always wanted justice for people. Right? I was always like, that's not right. That's not right. They should have an attorney. You know, I mean, that was me at an early age. And then when I moved to America at the age of 15, I started working with public supermarkets. I got a job as a bagger, right? And ended up working with them all the way through high school, and then ended up working with them through college while I was in Tallahassee at Florida A&M. And then when I graduated, they were actually moving into the Atlanta market for the first time. And so I decided to move with them and ended up being a store manager with them for about, being on their management team for about 16 years. But I got introduced to Legal Shield in 2003. And just started doing it part-time because it just made sense. I needed to get a will done. They told me they would do it for free instead of me having to pay $800 to an attorney. I was like, well, let me do it for free. But I was also in a foster to adopt class. 2 of my kids are adopted. So I was in a foster to adopt class with 38 other parents. And I figured, look, I'll do the business part-time and just help them get their wills done. And that first year, I made about 30,000. Second year, I did over 50. Third year, I did over 80. Fourth year, I was doing more than I was making as a store manager, right? After 20 plus years with that company. And so, but what was amazing was the residual income piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why I think we as insurance agents or members of the insurance industry need to continue to let especially minority youth know all the different options that we have in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
There's one thing to have a salary. You know, there's only 3 forms of income, right? There's linear, time for money, right? You punch in, you get paid. You punch out, you stop getting paid, right? And then there's that leveraged income where you become an insurance broker. You hire insurance agents, right? The agents sell some policies, but you as the broker get an override. Or you become a real estate broker. You hire some real estate agents. The agents sell a house. Everybody gets paid. John Paul Getty, one of the first billionaires, said, I would rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than to have 100% of my own.
I love it. Yes.
Meaning if there was a job that was hiring people for $100, I would spend a couple of days telling 100 people about it and just come to the agreement that since I helped you get the job, every hour you work, each one of you give me $1. Meaning I would still earn $100 an hour just like everybody else. I just don't have to go to the job.
Yep.
Right? That's leveraged income. And then there's that residual income piece, right? Michael Jackson did a phenomenal job of making sure that he owned his music. He did a phenomenal job of having a will and a trust, another thing that we don't take seriously in our community. But the only way you transfer wealth is through a good insurance policy and through a living will and trust.
Yeah. Right.
And so as people continue to play his records, he continues to get paid. Well, in the insurance industry, and even with our Legal Shield model, once you get your upfront commission for introducing someone to the membership, if they keep it long term, every month that they make a payment, a portion of that payment is coming back to you as your book of business for the life of that customer. And it's a willable book of business. It's
Let's talk about that. I'm not to cut you off, but
go ahead.
The opportunity, the barrier to entry in this industry, being able to enter it really from a variety of different places. Like you came in from the grocery sector. I mean, albeit, you were a manager there and, you had graduated college and had, done some things and were doing well. But really, you see, people from any background can come into the space and achieve success and be able to participate in those income forms that you mentioned. Obviously, the leveraging it. I mean, look, you could sell the policies, you can build organizations, you can get the renewals. Continue to expound. I just wanted to interject that in there, that this is open to everybody who is willing with the right temperament.
So one of the things I've been very successful at is partnering with existing insurance agents and helping them add Legal Shield as an additional source of income. I'm not telling them to quit what they're doing. I'm saying you already have a customer that's getting an insurance policy from you. You already have a customer that trusts you. You might as well share with them that there's a legal plan out there that could also benefit them, and it's a product that they can use now. So here's why it's very beneficial, I think, to insurance agents. You're convincing someone to buy something that is in their mind only benefits the people they leave behind.
Yeah.
So there is a convincing process that has to go through of how much do you love your family and your kids, right? You have to get past the selfishness to sell an insurance policy, right? And what I liked about Legal Shield is it's a use now product. So even if you have someone, I'm working with a young man right now who has an agency, but he has people that are still testing or going through the process of getting their license. So if they don't have their license yet, they're not earning any income. But you still want to teach them how to sell, and you still want to teach them how to engage with customers. You can have them engage with their customers over a Legal Shield membership because there's no license required to sell it.
Yep.
They can now build a book of business off of that product. So when they do get their insurance license, they can now come back and say, here's some other things. Here's some life and health policy I have to offer, or property and casualty, whatever it is you're choosing to offer. You now can say, hey, but what you're also doing is you're able to work with a new sales force, give them income while they're working on getting their life and health license. Look, even though I've been doing Legal Shield for 20 years, 3 years ago, I went and got my life and health license, right? My dad always said, look, if you see $100 bill and $1 bill on the floor, which one are you picking up?
Hey, picking up that 100. Picking up both.
Both.
Right, picking up both.
You pick up both. Why are you leaving money on the table?
Right.
I'm saying you're leaving money on the table, right? So that's why I went and got my insurance license. I was already working with insurance agents. I already had a good book of business with Legal Shield, and there were times I would go do presentations in groups and people would say, hey, do you do life insurance too? And I would have to say, what? No.
Right.
So it just made sense. Look, if that's something that people are requesting, why not get my license? And then I can partner with people like you and say, look, I may not be an expert in this area, but I can partner with someone and we can do a commission share or a split on the deal or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm still able to service my customer. And when you talk about financial freedom and generational wealth, insurance has to be a part of that conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, transferring tax-free, that's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So going back to, your upbringing, you were in an entrepreneurial environment, as a child. Now, everyone isn't coming from that environment, but let me ask you, how do you think that influenced your abilities as you entered the industry in the way that you were able to engage people?
Well, what I learned is you only eat what you kill.
Yeah.
So, and I say this respectfully to anybody that has a 9 to 5. A guaranteed paycheck, meaning if you work 40 hours, we're going to pay you $100. Or if you work 40 hours, we're going to pay you $1,000. It didn't say if you work a hard 40 hours or a soft 40 hours.
Yeah.
You punch in for 40 hours, you make X dollar amount an hour, we're going to pay you that dollar amount at the end. You can slack off if you want to.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur has no set paycheck. There are weeks you have a phenomenal week, and there's some weeks you may want to borrow somebody's electricity. Can you run that cord across that street for me? Right. Trust me, I have it back on by Monday. Right. So if you are not engaged in what I call a strong work ethic,
yeah.
Right. I'll always say to people, my key to success has been 2 things: work ethic, and integrity.
That's it.
Right. I'm a firm believer the best referral is a customer. It's free. And it's more solidifying than any commercial you can put together. If you can get one person to say to someone they know, like, and trust that what I got from Alistair was phenomenal, that's a guaranteed sale.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think what I learned growing up in Jamaica was strong work ethic. My parents were very focused and driven as far as work ethic.
Yeah.
And integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out, having that foundation, and it sounds like, that's something that you carried, all the way. I mean, shoot, you started working at 15, continued, working through high school, through college, until you were introduced, to the Legal Shield opportunity.
Yeah,
So how did that come about? Like, how that introduction, like, how were you introduced to it? Did somebody
Well, I did 27 years with public supermarkets.
Okay.
So I started with 15 and worked with them for 27 years. It was 2003. I was a store manager of one of their flagship stores in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I had gone and done a career day.
Okay.
And Ron Green was also one of the speakers there. He's the gentleman that recruited me to Legal Shield. And he came into the store and said, Mr. Edwards, I saw you today speaking. He says, hey, the students and the teachers and faculty were captivated by everything you were saying. He says, I have a business opportunity that I think would be phenomenal for you. I says, well, I'm sorry. I'm got a happy career working. At the time, I thought I was the man. I had the keys to the store. I had a store that was doing $500,000 a week, and you were paying me $100,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is I was working long hours. I told people the truth of the matter is I was only working half days, 2 to 2, 4 to 4, 6 to 6, and I was doing that 6 days a week, right? So I had no time freedom, and that was the thing I was really needing. And he came and said, hey, I really want you to come look at this business opportunity. And back then it was called prepaid legal. Mm-hmm. And he was introducing me to the network marketing side of the company, the multi-level marketing side of the company. And I had done a few multi-level marketing companies previous to that invite that didn't go well for me. So I was turned off by the industry. Mm. So it actually took him 6 months to get me to go to this presentation. And the only reason I went to the presentation was to get him to stop asking me to go to the presentation. It was a Friday afternoon. I was trying to leave the store, and I looked at my cameras. I saw him come in, and I called my front office cashier, and I said, hey, you see that man that's walked in? I said, he's going to ask for me, and whatever you do, you tell him I'm not here.
Wow.
She did that, but he saw my car up front and stood by the magazine racks, and the magazine racks were by the door that I needed to exit from to get out of my car.
So he knew. He saw something. He saw something in you.
So I came up to him. I said, Ron Green, what part of no don't you understand? And here's what he said to me. He said, Mr. Edwards, it's fair to say that most of your good decisions are usually made after you have 100% of the facts. I said, fair to say. He says, all I'm asking you to do is come to this meeting on Monday, get 100% of the facts. And he says, no matter what you decide, I'll never bother you again. He says, but I'm so confident that you'll do well with this business that if you don't come Monday, I'm just letting you know I'll be here again next week. That's what got me to go to the meeting. I said to myself, look, I'll be here Monday. And my whole intent was to go, sit through this thing, pretend like I was paying attention, and be like, okay, I'm not interested, and go back to living my life.
Wow.
But it just so happened, like I said, it was right around the time I'm adopting 2 kids. I knew I needed to get a will updated. I talked to a frat brother who was an attorney about getting my will done. He said, hey, I'll do it for a discount. I'll do it for $500. He says, I usually charge, $1,200 or more to prepare those documents. He said, for you, $500. And then I go to this presentation, this prepaid legal presentation, and they say, we do your will, your living will, your medical health care directive, your financial power of attorney, and we'll do your spouses or significant others also. And it's only $29.95 a month. And it's month to month. You can cancel. So I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me I can get it done and I can still cancel the membership, but I have a will and all of that. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
But then I sat through the whole presentation as they told the other features and the other benefits. And I'm thinking, for $1 a day, I'm thinking these attorneys got to be trash. That's what I'm thinking. These attorneys got to be trash. And then they named the law firm, and I was like, no, I know that law firm. I know some of the people that work at that law firm. One of them was an attorney for Coca-Cola charging $600-700 an hour. and you're telling me I have access to that same attorney for $1 a day, I'm in. And like I said, I was in a class with some other foster to adopt parents. And so I was like, when they got to the compensation, I was like, I can share it with them and earn an extra, $500, $600 for the month or something. Shoot, first year I did 30,000 part-time while still working my full-time job. Second year I did 50,000, still working my full-time job. So I'm making 6 figures working 60 hours a week. I made 50,000 working 5 to 10 hours a week on the side. Did 80 my third year, did over 100 my fourth year, and then by my 6th year, it was paying me about 8 or 9 grand a month in residual income. I was like, okay, now I got options. It gave me options.
Yeah.
Right? How long do I want to continue working 60 hours a week and watching my kids grow up without me? Not much longer. So July 4th, 2009 is when I put in my 2-week resignation for Independence Day.
Boom.
And like they say, the rest is history.
You
and Legal Shield has paid me millions. Yeah. But what I'm more excited about is it's also allowed me to position myself to help others earn millions. So there are people on my team that have earned millions, right? That I've been able to train and mentor and watch grow. I got a young man on my team part-time last month, did 30,000 part-time, still having a full-time job. So
let's stay on that for a minute. Let's stay on that. Just the fact that the development, the personal and professional development that can come from bridging into the industry. And I like to even say in a lot of cases, when you look at the traditional life insurance industry, sometimes in the health, particularly on the worksite side, definitely, obviously with companies like a Legal Shield and the legal insurance chassis, all of them have, network marketing components,
right,
to them. And I think for many people, kind of a knee jerk is like, oh, well, I don't want to be in something that is like a pyramid. It feels like a pyramid. I don't want to be in that. But what I always found really powerful was the focus on personal and professional development that came out of that. I mean, can you share maybe a couple of stories about that? And you mentioned the gentleman, hey, 30,000 a month. Somebody they came in with this mindset or this place, and then boom, sometime later, this is where they ended up.
So here's a fact. The network marketing industry or multi-level marketing industry has created more millionaires than any other industry in the history of the world. It's a fact. If you look at most successful people, those that have successful podcasts now, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, if you look at any of those type of people, you will see there was a point in time they worked with some form of network marketing company. And in some cases, they never had financial success. But what they did have was constant personal development. Amway used to have a thing called a tape of the week. Every week, they would send you a motivational tape on positive. And it is amazing what will happen when you start listening to the right thing. When you start pouring into your mind positive things, right? Turn off the news and start, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, right? Jim Rohn, Les Brown, John C. Maxwell. I mean, I can pick any one of them for you.
Yeah.
Right? I hated to read, but then you get into the network marketing industry and they now have a book of the month. So every month there's a book that you are now reading collectively and going over that is taking your mindset to a different level, taking your belief to another level. You now realize that I can stay in a 9 to 5 if that's what I love, if the job that I have is what I love and it's my calling. But if it's not, there is an entrepreneur world out there that I now have the mindset and belief and capability to thrive in.
Yeah.
Right? So I think what the industry does, even in the insurance industry, what it also does, if you hook up with the right people in the right company, it gives you mentors. I was mentored by good people, right? I was mentored in the network marketing side by a gentleman named Darnell Self. I was mentored on the business to business side, which is what I was exposed to my second year Legal Shield, where you're telling, by a lady called Melissa Wilder, where we were taught you could take this benefit into companies and provide it as an employee benefit. That's where the light stuck for me. Because
Yeah.
I was working 50, 60 hours a week, and I was on the network marketing side. I would meet with somebody for coffee, and I'd go through the presentation, and guess what? They would sign up. I would send the application into corporate, and guess what? Corporate would pay me. The only problem is I'm working 60 hours a week. I can only sit down with 2 or 3 people a week.
Yeah.
And then I go to this training where it says, hey, you can go talk to companies. That same one presentation you're doing for one person, you can get 100 people in a room and do the same presentation and increase your odds.
Boom.
And that's where the light went off for me. I was like, damn, I can build the insurance type business with this Legal Shield product.
Yeah.
So I jumped into the group benefit space to where now I provide Legal Shield as a benefit to companies and their employees. So every week I'm calling someone who has employees and say, hey, is it okay if I can come provide lunch for your 10, 15, 20, 100 people? And all I ask in return is 15 minutes to share my product or service with them. But just think about it. If 10 sign up, the company's paying me $250 per person direct deposit the next day. It's not a bad hour.
Not at all.
Right. So people say, how did you help this guy earn $30,000 last month? Well, it's because he probably presented to over 3,000 people, all in group settings. So he did a bunch of groups where he spoke to people. And, you know, if you were in school and only 30% of the people, you got a 30% on your test, you'd be a failure. In this business, you do a presentation to 100 people. If 30 people sign up and you're making $200-300 per person,
hey,
I'll take that F.
Right.
I'll take that F. You can call me a failure all you want if you want to.
No doubt, no doubt.
But you know, when you're having $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 hours from a presentation of a good product and a good service that they're keeping long term, and if he made $30,000 last month, that means he made about $10,000 of lifetime residual income every year just off of that months of work, based on the customer keeping it long term. The average company rate of persistency on our product is about 76%, meaning 76% of the people that sign up for it keep it past the first year.
Yeah.
So if you got a lifetime customer.
And if you're servicing the group on the benefit side, because once you got the group, hey, you're going back on a regular basis. So you're seeing that person, you're checking on them. Hey, you're okay. You know, everything is well.
And now what if you go get your life and health policy and now they're used to, and they're accustomed to seeing you all the time. And now I can come and go back to my old groups and say, hey, who's doing your life and health?
Listen.
And I don't have to even do the work, because now that I have my license, I can partner with Rod and say, hey, Rod, I got a list of 7 people that need to get their policies done. What's our split?
Boom.
Warm leads. It's a win-win.
Love it, man. I love it. You know, I love how you have continued to add different elements of progression to your business. You know, it's like each stage you say, okay, you know, because sometimes, you can get, or people can get complacent, you know, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing okay, right? And they don't say, okay, well, what's that nugget? Like, you went to the training, you said, oh, boom, the light bulb came on. I can take this into the benefit world. You know, even continuing to train and expand and grow and say, oh, okay, shoot, I should get my licenses, because then I can leverage that as well with these relationships that I already have, and I don't even have to do, you know, the heavy lifting there. That's something I really appreciate. I mean, that now 18 years in, you've been doing this for a while, you know.
20 years.
18 years in 20 years in Legal Shield.
20 years in Legal Shield.
20 years in Legal Shield.
2003.
2003. So 20 years in. How do you stay motivated now? Because you talked about being a father as well, and I know you have other things going on. Like, how do you stay motivated in this business?
New recruits.
Yeah, no doubt.
Remember, I talked about the 3 areas of income. Linear, when you punch in. So I still punch in every day. I still go do groups. I still go make my personal income. Yes. Because you make the most income when you sell the policy.
True that.
Now, but I also like recruiting people and teaching them how to do it, because when they write a policy, I get a small override. The second form of income, leveraged, right? And then the third form of income is their book of business and my book of business still garners residual income. And because they're a part of my team, their book of business also peels off some residual income to me also.
Yeah.
So what keeps me excited is new people. It's exciting. There is nothing more exciting than being able to coach somebody that wants to be coached.
Absolutely. I agree.
So the young man, Martavius Hillman, what I love most about him, he's been with me now, this going in his third year. Last 12 months, he's made over $200,000 with Legal Shield part-time, but he's coachable. He's never asked me why. He's always asked me, what's next? I've done that. What's next, Mr. Edwards? What's next? That's what keeps me in the business, because I know he had no college degree. I know his company wouldn't promote him because they said he didn't have a college degree. One of his supervisors with the company when I met him said, I just want you to know you'll never make six figures because you're not willing to go back to school. That's what they told him. His second year with me, he made $150,000.
Wow.
While still working that job. But his work ethic was there. Sometimes we overlook people because they don't have the look, the sound, their predicates don't work, their grammar. But do they have a burning desire? I only ask people three things. Do you have a strong work ethic? Are you coachable? And do you have a burning desire? You got to answer yes to all three of those. You can't tell me yes for 2 and 1. Well, I'm not really that fired up about it. You're the wrong person for me. But if you can tell me I got a burning desire, Mr. Edwards, I'm willing to do the work, and I'll do whatever you tell me, I guarantee you 6 figures.
You do something.
Because it's work. 5 years is coming anyway.
Absolutely. Yep.
Whether you sit on your, I don't want to cuss, whether you sit on your ass or whether you...
We're not rated, so, we can kind of say whatever we want.
Okay, whether you sit on the ass or do the work, it's up to you. Yeah. Just know, but if you sit on your ass, just know 5 years from now may be a little painful.
Yeah.
Right? There's only 2 kinds of pain. The pain of work or the pain of regret. The pain of regret is a lot more painful. It lasts longer. That shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have did that 5 years ago.
Yes.
My question is, what are you going to be saying 5 years from now? I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I went and got my insurance license. If you're listening right now, you've been on the fence about whether I should get my life and health license, or whether I should get into the insurance industry or walk in some type of insurance business. If it's even a slight thought in your mind right now, I'm telling you, yes.
Yeah.
Go take the test. Go study for it. Go take the test. Find yourself a good mentor. Learn the business, and it'll be one of the best decisions you ever made in your life.
I was going to ask you, man, like, how's your life before the license versus how's your life after, and how you feel like it impacted you as a person?
My life before coming into the industry and doing voluntary benefits and all of that was, like I told you, 50, 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Working long hours. But it was one day I came home and my son had to be 7 at the time. I don't know, 6, 7. And I came home. I had gone in at 4 a.m. Got home around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Ate some dinner, sat on the couch. And my son came to me and he said, "Hey, Dad, I just want to kiss you goodnight." And I was like, "AJ, it's 6, 7 o'clock. You going to bed already?" He said, "I'm not going to bed." He said, "I just know you're going to go to sleep, but I just wanted to kiss you before you went to sleep." What he was saying to me is, I know your routine. You come home, you give everybody outside all your time and your effort and your energy. Wow. You come home and you sit on the couch and let ESPN watch you. That's what your career was. That's when I knew I got to take this business serious, because it's the only thing that's going to transfer my time freedom. It wasn't about the money. It was, I needed to figure out, how do I continue to provide for my family and still give them a 6-figure lifestyle without me working a 60-hour work week. And that's what the insurance industry did for me. Don't get me wrong. There are weeks I work 60 hours in this business.
Yeah.
But because I've worked weeks of 60 hours in this business, there are weeks I don't have to work.
Well,
Right. So I was able to spend 7 days in Hawaii with my son surfing. You know what I mean? I was able to do different things with my kids because I made the sacrifice to get the license, learn the business, sell the policies, write the Legal Shield memberships, right? Do the work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got over 6,000 customers personally, right? My team over 60,000, 70,000 customers.
And impacting people, man, like in a significant way.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great balance when you're doing good and doing well.
You know, our founder with Legal Shield, Mr. Harlan Stonecipher, always talked about it's nothing better than making a difference while making a living.
Listen.
And that's what this business, that's what this industry has allowed us to do. We get to make, it's a sad thing when we have to deliver an insurance policy, but it's also a very rewarding thing to know that I was the one that sat down with somebody and talked to them about a life and health policy. So when something tragic does happen, their family can at least grieve without worrying about the financial burden of the grief.
Right.
We get to do that. You get to do that. If you're thinking about joining the insurance industry, guess what? That's what you will get to do.
Absolutely. Couple things before we start rounding out here. You mentioned the part-time piece, right? Like you are able to transition, and I also love because this is actually a great idea. I mean, I'm thinking about this just from this conversation. You say, hey, look, if you have someone who is going through the licensing process, what opportunity can they take advantage of that still is consultative, right? That is still informative, that is still helping them to transfer risk, that is still helping them to understand something that maybe they're not familiar with. And that could be Legal Shield, right? And they can generate that income without having the insurance license, but still an insurance product, because that's really what it is. It's still an insurance product, but still having an insurance product that they have access to prior to getting that license. So it is a great place to say, hey, you can start on a part-time basis. You don't have to leave your 9 to 5. And hey, if you're doing something that you really enjoy, that you're passionate about, you're working with an organization, maybe it's a nonprofit, and you care about what you're doing, or an organization that you have a lot of passion for, you can keep doing that, and you can do this.
Yeah.
At taking that into consideration and the amount of time freedom that you've been able to develop, starting part-time initially, transitioning into full-time, having the time for your family. I know that you have some philanthropic things that are happening as well. Like the business has now for you evolved to the point where you've been able to take that time freedom and expand even internationally into helping others. I'd love for you to speak to that a little bit and what you're doing with the school.
Business-wise, about 5 years ago, I started a sales training and coaching company. So Alistair, Stair Steps LLC. We do sales training and coaching. So I teach sales. So insurance companies, real estate companies hire me to come in and teach their sales force about how to sell. And then I also do motivational speaking, coaching, and stuff like that. And then on the philanthropy side, there are organizations that I partner with. One is called Fertile Ground. So you can go to fertileground.org. That was started by some good friends of mine, Darnell Self and Mike Humes, where they provide clothing for kids in low-income area. There are 2 schools that they go back to every year in some of the roughest neighborhoods of DC, where every child in the school gets a Christmas gift. Every child. They don't miss anybody. Everyone gets one, right? They also supply clothes to Haiti and bring supplies over there every year. And then I'm also partnered with an organization called Work, Play, Love, right? So one of my business partners, Kim Melia, they have an orphanage in Guatemala. So I just got back. I was down there for a couple of days down in Guatemala but there's 70 kids in there that have been orphaned, that they provide shelter, education. They learn in 3 different languages. So they learn every subject in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So they learn 3 languages, and they learn every subject. And we have it going all the way up to 6th grade right now. Statistics say in Guatemala, if you can get a child to an 8th grade level, right, they stand a lot better chance of being successful. And so we're building other rooms right now, other classrooms, to get that 8th grade building in place and provide the proper educational support to educate them to that level. And so that's the passion right now. And then, of course, I do mentoring here in Atlanta with some schools, and always doing career days and mentoring. So yeah, that's the fun part of the business.
I love it, man, because once again, I think people miss, the expansiveness of what this can create for you. Not like I said, not only from a financial perspective, but from a mindset perspective, from an exposure perspective, from a life experience perspective, and ultimately from an impact and value that you can add.
Well, here's the crazy part, man, and I think people don't realize this. I would go as far as say 80% of society is fighting for oxygen. And what I mean by that is they're barely surviving, living check to check, check to check, paycheck to paycheck. And of that 80%, I would say 60% of them are actually helpers, meaning I don't have enough. I barely have enough for me, but I'm gonna help you out too, so we'll both struggle.
Right.
What the industry does, what the insurance industry does, it allows you to put your oxygen mask on first. So when you're in an airplane and the plane says we're about to crash, and this oxygen mask falls down, the instructions are to what?
Put the mask on yourself first before you put it on anybody else.
But here's the mistake we make. We love people so much. We love our family members. We love our kids. We love our friends. You're on the plane with your child. They tell you the plane is going to crash. 2 masks drop from the ceiling, and you're so busy trying to help your child, you grab his mask or her mask, and now you're fighting with them to put their mask on. Now, here's the funny part. Your child is looking at these 2 strange things drop, and you're trying to put one on him or her, and they're like, I ain't never seen that before. No, no, no. And you're like, yes, yes, yes. And they're like, no, no, no. You finally get it on them, but you have taken so long to do it. You've lost all your energy and your breath. The plane now crashes. There's a second instruction. Now that we've crashed, before the plane sinks, you need to take the mask off and now get off the plane. But because you've passed out and now your child is trying to wake you up, guess what? You both die anyway. Where had you simply just put your mask on, your child looks up and said, oh, mom, dad got a mask on. I want one too. They put it on. Now when you're on the ground, you say, okay, here's our next move. Insurance, to me, getting your license, getting in this industry is your oxygen mask. It allows you to put your oxygen mask on, breathe, gives you the proper energy, the resources, and everything that you need, to where now when it's time to help other people, I could not help other people earn 6 figures in the grocery industry. Because to earn 6 figures in that industry, you'd have to be a store manager. I was in a store that only had a position of what? There's only one store manager.
Oh, it's gonna be one, right?
So if I teach you that position, that means I got to give it up. I got to die for you to survive. In this industry, masks fall for everybody.
Everybody.
They just need somebody to show them how to put the mask on. The insurance industry is where we get to put the mask on and say, hey, bro, hey, sis, you want to breathe too? You want to earn 6 figures?
Come on. Come on.
You want residual income?
Yes.
Here's the good news. Once you build your book of business up enough, when we hit the ground, we're going to take this thing off and we're going to get off of here and we're going to really enjoy life. Yeah. We're going to really help more people. We're going to really do our philanthropy. We're really going to travel the world. We really go enjoy the different lands. Look, I've been in 28 different all expense paid trips with Legal Shield to places I would have never gone to had I been in the grocery industry still. Our manager's retreat was to Orlando where we were having meetings. That's what it was in the grocery industry.
28, y'all. 28. That's a light flex. That's a
Bro,
light flex right there, you know.
Cancun,
keep it real. Go, come
Jamaica,
on. Right?
Maui, Punta Cana, Lake Tahoe, Huntington Beach, California, River Maya. I could go on and on. They take 600 people every year, all expense paid, for 5 days. But all you have to do is what? Learn how to put your mask on.
Man, brother. Hey, listen. What's the dream now? What's the big vision for Alistair Edwards?
Someone asked me that the other day, man. I am at a point in life where, so first of all, if you've ever had a near-death experience, you look at life a whole lot different.
Yeah.
So 2021, I went back to the doctor to get the results from a physical. He said, Alistair, for your age, you probably one of the healthiest people in my office. I was on a Tuesday. That Saturday morning, I'm working out and I felt something pop in my brain. Blacked out for a minute, came to, threw up this little liquid and started to have a massive headache. And like an idiot, I just took some aspirin. Got worse Sunday, aspirin and Tylenol. Excedrin on Monday. Tuesday, I'm on a Zoom and a young lady on my team texts me, hey, Mr. Edwards, with all due respect, you don't look like yourself or sound like yourself. You need to go to the doctor. I stopped at an urgent care, told him what happened. The guy takes my vitals. He comes out, he hands me this yellow slip. He said, Mr. Edwards, I need you to go straight to the hospital. He said, I don't need you to stop. I need you to go straight to the hospital. So I go to the emergency room at the hospital. I hand him the yellow slip that he gave me. They bypassed me, everybody who was waiting in the emergency room, and get me into a room. They run my vitals. Doctor comes in and said, hey, we need to do a CAT scan. They come back. They said, we need to do an MRI. And then a different doctor walks in. He said, Mr. Edwards, he says, do you have a will? This is when my business meant everything to me. Do you have a will? I say, yeah. Do you have a living will? I say, yeah. He says, do you have a medical health care directive? I say, yeah. He says, I'm glad you have those documents in place. That means we can move swiftly. He said, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to make whatever calls you need to make, but my surgical team is going to be coming behind me to prep you for surgery. We're going into emergency surgery. I'm feeling, I just got a headache. I'm feeling fine, in my opinion. They come in, they prep me, take me up. They did an angiogram. I'm going in. I had a busted blood vessel in my brain. Almost like a mini stroke, right? That surgery would have been delayed had I not had my will done. Had I not had my medical health care directive. But here's the even better part. When he said, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to make whatever calls you need to make. Here's the crazy part, Rod. I was not afraid of dying. It's not like I was like, oh, I could die. That was not the thought that came. I was like, damn, is my house in order?
Yeah.
And I knew, well, I got insurance policies. My kids are going to be good.
Yeah.
My will is in place. All my assets will go to the people I wanted to go to. I realized I had put the mask on right.
Yeah.
And even if I didn't make it through the surgery, guess what? My kids could still breathe. That's what we get to do for other people, right? That's why I'm adamant about selling a Legal Shield membership. If you are listening right now, I don't care if you get a will done from me or through Legal Shield, but I am strongly recommending, if you truly love your family, you need to be focused on getting your will, your living will, and your medical health care directive, because you can be healthy today and you can be gone tomorrow. I was just watching the news. Midnight this morning in Atlanta, 3 family members ran into the back of the truck. Gone. Gone. You coming home and you think your 3 family members are coming home to you. Gone. A father, a 13-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old toddler. Gone. Did they have a will, bro? That's a question you ask yourself. Did they have an insurance policy?
Yeah.
2 other kids were in the car that got ejected and were sent to the hospital. But what's going to pay for their medical? What's going to pay for their financial future? What are those 2 kids' financial future going to look like if the man driving that car doesn't have an insurance policy?
Mm.
We get to position people into that. We get to make sure people's will are in place. We get to make sure that they have an insurance policy that, God forbid, when the unthinkable happens, I don't have to be financially ruined. That's why I love the industry, bro. And the crazy part is they have the audacity to pay us to do it.
Like a secret, right? It's kind of
like a secret, bro.
Like, I mean, I don't even know if you feel like working sometimes, you know, it's like, I'm working. Okay, cool.
Okay.
You know?
But we get to, you know, I have a t-shirt brand, mission driven, not commission driven.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a mission, bro. We get to help people.
No doubt.
And the more people we help, guess what? The more we make. It's a crazy business.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
so
that
I love it.
Your income is going to be commensurate to the value that you add to the world.
Yes, sir.
Takes it right back to that. Man, listen, I appreciate you having this conversation, and man, I'm excited to continue to build with you and see you keep growing in your business and everything that you're doing, and also just continuing to take it day by day and be healthy too, man, you know, and taking care of yourself. Because I know that sometimes, particularly as men, you know, we're working and working and working and then don't feel like work.
But here's the funny part. So when I had that situation, I said, Doc, you gotta tell me something. Yeah. I was told I was healthy as shit, so you gotta tell me something. What is it? He says, Mr. Evans, it could be stress. I said, bro, I'm not stressing about anything. Yeah. Here's what he said to me. He says there's a certain group of people that are what we call high producers, high performers, that they're operating at a stress level and consider it normal.
All the time.
All the time. So we have to be conscious of that and be like, so now I schedule resting. It's on my calendar. Sit your ass down.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Hey, look.
I'm not doing that today. I'm not doing that today.
If somebody wants to get in contact with you, which I know some folks are going to want to after hearing this conversation, they want to find out more about you. They want to find out more about Legal Shield. And you're nationwide. Your business is all over the country.
Yeah, we're throughout the United States and Canada. And then my sales training and coaching business is international. I do that all over the world.
So how do they get connected with Alistair Edwards? Find out about Stair Steps. Find out about Legal Shield. Things that you're doing. How do they reach you?
Stair Steps, they can go to alistairedwards.com. So ALISTAIREDWARDS.com. I'm on Instagram, alistair.edwards. So ALISTAIR.EDWARDS. Either one of those will have links there to where you can contact me or schedule. So if you go into my IG, you'll see a calendar link there where you can say, hey, I want to schedule a 15-minute meeting with you. So you can do that. If you want to get my sales training and coaching on that same calendar, you'll see the price points for my trainings, and you can schedule one of those. And I'm always open to helping people, man. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's all we're left here to do.
That's right.
I'm at a position right now, like I said, when you have a near-death experience, you realize what I realized in that moment is I wasn't going to be able to take the house with me. The car wasn't coming. All the pretty clothes you got wasn't going nowhere with you.
Yeah.
It's just you. It's going to be you and your maker.
That's it, man.
And so I'm at a point in life right now, man, that the true joy for me is just creating success for other people.
No doubt.
Like helping Martavius Hillman earn $30,000 a month last month was a high for me.
Hey, I don't even know that brother, but let me just give him a round of applause.
Bro, you got it, man. His work ethic is impeccable, bro.
Yeah.
Impeccable. And like I said, coachable. Coachable, man. You know, when I speak to my mentor, if I'm given an assignment, I don't ask why. I just know that he has my best interest at heart, so I just need to get it done.
I love it. I love it. This part, that part that you just said, we're gonna take that and make a snippet out of that and just play it over. Yeah, right.
Send me a clip so I can run it back too.
Well, I remember, one of my mentors told me, he's like, listen, I'm not saying I'm gonna tell you to do it, but if I tell you run through a burning building, there's a reason why.
There's a reason why.
And I'm looking out for your best interest. So if I tell you to do it, do it.
Just do it with full speed.
Just do it full speed.
Just do it with full speed.
Hey, look, I appreciate you in the conversation. Thank you so much. Y'all make sure that you visit AlistairEdwards.com, connect with him on LinkedIn, Instagram, the outlets, and get you some legal insurance too. Get your regular insurance, get your legal insurance. When I say regular, get your life, get your property, get your auto. Obviously, you got to take care of those things, but make sure that you're taking care of your legal risk and exposures as well, because I'm going to tell you the traffic tickets are good. I remember I had a dispute with a company, and my legal shield plan wrote a letter to the company on my behalf. I mean, it's great service, to have in place. And shoot, by the time this interview comes out, we might have a link. So if you want to get the plan, we can get it through Rob Palace.
You'll have a link by then, brother.
We'll have a link by then. But make sure that you tell someone about this information. Make sure that you take this information and use it for yourself. And maybe you heard something in this conversation that made you think to yourself that you should get a license. Until next time, peace.
Peace.